Welcome back to the program. So Monday, today, when this is going to be up and people are watching it, will be a big day because we're going to have the meetings at the White House with Zelensky and the rest of them, and I guess European leaders are coming in. So hopefully the Democrats don't get a hold of Zelensky like they did last time, and of course fill his head with all kinds of garbage, and then he goes in there and spews it to President Trump, and President Trump throws him out like he should have. So let's hope it's not a repeat of that. But today on Maria Bartiromo's show, Sunday Morning Futures, was, I think, one of the most revealing shows in regards to whether or not these deep state criminals are actually going to face justice. Now, we've seen others talking about it. We've seen John Solomon. We've seen Sean Vanity. We've seen, so many other shows out there talking about it, and everyone's saying, oh, it's going to happen. It's going to happen, including myself. But it is going to happen. It is going to happen. So I am going to play this for you, stop it, start it, talk about it, things like that.
To damage President Trump during his first term. The whistleblower, a longtime Democrat staffer on the House Intelligence Committee, said Schiff was upset because he expected to be the CIA director in a Hillary Clinton presidency. In a statement to Fox News, a spokesperson for Schiff said this: Kash Patel's latest smear against Senator Schiff is absolutely and categorically false and is the latest in a series of defamatory attacks from the president and his allies meant to distract from their plummeting poll numbers and the Epstein files scandal.
See, they always have to go back to that. But the reality is Adam Schiff is in a lot of trouble, okay? Do I have a pen? So anyway, he's in a ton of trouble because of mortgage fraud, leaking sensitive information, perjury. There's probably a whole bunch more as well. So the only thing he can do is deflect.
Joining me now in this Sunday Morning Futures exclusive is...
So this is Ed Martin. Now remember, Ed Martin is the Weaponization Czar. That's his official title at the Department of Justice. Okay? He is pretty much, Judge Janine 2.0. Okay? They're both bulldogs. So here he is.
Is the director of the DOJ Weaponization Working Group, Ed Martin. He is investigating the weaponization of government, including Adam Schiff, New York Attorney General Letitia James for mortgage fraud, and the January 6th probe, among others. Ed Martin, great to have you this morning. Thanks very much for being here.
Oh, always a pleasure, Maria.
And Ed, it has really, truly been a decade of dirty tricks, and that's being kind about it, against Donald Trump, beginning with the Russia hoax, to the impeachments, to the indictments, to the Hunter Biden laptop. Assess for us the last 10 years in your view, and you have criminal referrals right now on Adam Schiff, Letitia James, among others. What is the status?
Well, first of all, thanks for asking about the last 10 years. I mean, when Donald Trump came into office as president, he signed an executive order saying, go and find out how government was weaponized against the citizens. When Attorney General Bondi came into office, she put a memo, put more specifics to it, and said, get to the bottom of this. She gave a specific list and a broad charge. And I have to tell you, for your viewers, we have the Attorney General Bondi has that Department of Justice spinning like a top. We've got more stuff going on. A lot of it we can't talk about because of the nature of it, but it's going like crazy. And one of them was, we were in a group, we're still in it, working on the Russia hoax. And Tulsi Gabbard declassified what happened, and she sent it over to us, to DOJ, as a criminal referral, and that's ongoing now. But what that was, and Maria, you're one of the earliest, I think you might be the only person, the only journalist who said early on, this is a Russia hoax. And
No, Ed. I think I have, and probably hundreds of others.
And, Brett had President Trump on an interview on that flight to Alaska. And in the interview, President Trump said the Russia hoax was meant to destroy the relationship with Russia, make it impossible to get things under control, get a reset like Hillary said she wanted. So what we have in the Department of Justice now is a weaponization working group and the backing of our leadership to go and find this stuff. And so the Russia hoax, we know the birthday of the Russia hoax. It's December 8th, 2016. Where the Obama administration, including Obama, said...
Obama, Biden, Sally Yates, John Brennan, James Comey, and James Clapper were in that meeting when they decided to go over the way to frame, first and foremost, General Mike Flynn with the Russian ambassador. And while people were distracted with that, then we were going to drop the Russia story. That's exactly what happened.
Don't put the truth out, lie, and ask the media to help us. And the Washington Post and others jumped right in. And then we had the Russia hoax that went on for
That's why I call them prostitutes.
10 years. And every time they get in trouble, meaning the deep state and others, they throw another hoax out. And all we're doing at DOJ and all we're doing at...
Oh, sounds like Bernstein's projectocrats, perhaps. Good one, Ed.
Across the government is saying, get the truth out, and then, by the way, let's hold people accountable, and that's exactly what's going on. So when Bill Pulte sends a criminal referral over to us, and he says Letitia James and Adam Schiff, and by the way, both their lawyers have come out.
And by the way, the guy he's talking about, Pulte, from the famous Pulte Home Builders, he has enormous clout and enormous pull. And I think he was head of like the FHA or Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac or something like that. And so anyway, he was one of the first people to call for Jerome Powell to resign, a major person. But I love this because Pulte from Pulte Homes has sent the criminal referral over their own investigation. Once they realized what they did, they got the bank documents, they could see it. Then they sent over the criminal referral. So let's back that part up.
And others, they throw another hoax out. And all we're doing at DOJ and all we're doing across the government is saying, get the truth out. And then, by the way, let's hold people accountable. And that's exactly what's going on. So when Bill Pulte sends a criminal referral over to us, and he says Letitia James and Adam Schiff, and by the way, both their lawyers have come out and talked publicly about that criminal referral. So you can talk to them about the specifics, because I'm going to tell you what we're going to do is we're going to follow the facts. Every American that has a mortgage or has other documents they sign has to follow the law. We're going to go to the very bottom of the facts, and if somebody did something wrong, we're not only going to hold them accountable, we're also going to look at everything else that they've been doing, because when you're...
As I put on X earlier today, and let me get it word for word instead of trying to remember it, but it has to do with exactly what Ed Martin just said, that once we find something, whatever it may be, we are then going to go further and further and further, and we're going to look in all of these other different spots. So let's say, here it is. I got it right here. So here's what I wrote. Democrats love to remind us every chance they can get, nobody's above the law. It's amazing how arrogant all these deep state criminals were. Think about it. They created fake intelligence. They planted FBI agents on January 6th. They altered 302 reports. They signed off on unjustified FISA warrants. They paid millions and millions of dollars for a fake dossier. And cheating on their mortgages will probably be what brings them all down to face justice. They're right. Nobody is above the law, and they will soon learn that lesson. And that's basically what Ed is saying, literally right here.
Of the facts, and if somebody did something wrong, we're not only going to hold them accountable, we're also going to look at everything else that they've been doing, because when you're a liar...
And the fact is that by doing what he's talking about doing, in other words, opening up the crack a little bit and looking inside, and if you can see other things in there, you push it open a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and then you get at the real crimes. Because if they're willing to cheat on their mortgage, if they're willing to lie about how many buildings their building is, if they're willing to say that they were married to their father to get a better deal on a mortgage loan, or pay 3% when everyone else is paying 5.5%, 7%, then yes, they're willing to set up fake intelligence. They're willing to possibly, kill someone to keep them quiet. They're willing to do just about anything. And that's what he says here.
You lie not just on one thing. When you're a cheater, you cheat not just on one thing. When you're doing corruption, you generally don't just do it on one thing. So that's our what we're asked to do as prosecutors, and that's what we're doing.
Well, we are all waiting for accountability here. Adam Schiff went on.
This is why I like Maria so much. She's got balls. She's like, okay, that's great. So when are you going to prosecute these people? Like, she's the only one, I think, in the media, maybe other than myself and some others like Benny and I don't know, there's a lot of them that actually have said when obviously Mike Flynn, right, recently. But it's interesting that she's one of the only ones on the mainstream networks that actually will go for the jugular and say the right question at the right time. I think it's pretty awesome.
That's our what we're asked to do as prosecutors, and that's what we're doing.
Well, we are all waiting for accountability here. Adam Schiff went on Sunday morning programs and said there was collusion in plain sight. And he was the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, so he had to know better that there was no evidence of any collusion in plain sight. So are you saying that this criminal referral is about something completely different, about mortgage fraud? Are you looking to get him on something other than Russia collusion?
Well, I'm saying that there's a referral from Bill Polte about a mortgage fraud, about Adam Schiff. That's publicly discussed. His own lawyers have been out there. Now there's more on Adam Schiff. And all we're going to do, again, is get to the facts of this and use all the tools that we have in our system. What we've discovered, and I know you want to ask me about some of this, in the weaponization, is that Joe Biden's Justice Department actively targeted American citizens, Catholics who went to Mass, parents who went to school boards, people who were involved in the Russia. I hear from Carter Page every now and then. Carter Page was destroyed by the Russia hoax, and we're sitting around and pretending it's okay to say that, there was a secret meeting on December 9th, 2016 in the Situation Room where they plotted the Russia hoax, and then we're going to say, oh, that was really bad? No, it wasn't really bad. It needs to be held accountable in every way we can.
Well, you went to Letitia James's home this week. You were in New York.
Yeah, look, I'm a prosecutor, and when I do these cases, I was in New York I was in Newark, actually, New Jersey, for some meetings, and I went over to New York for another meeting, and I went by there. One of the referrals is about that property that she has. Is a very prominent neighborhood in Brooklyn, and I wanted to lay eyes on it. I think most people, if you're prosecuting something, you're careful. I didn't go there and announce it. Some woman came storming up and shooting video and talking to me, but I wanted to see the property, and there's a number of other aspects of these cases where you got to get a sense of what it.
I guarantee you none of the Otto Penn administration that did any type of prosecution and indictments actually went to certain areas and investigated the scene, so to speak, right? No, Ed Martin went to Letitia's home that he's investigating, and he looked around, he looked at the property so that he has a bird's eye view, a first-hand account, so that maybe in future court presentation, the defense says, well, yeah, but it has this and this and this. And you go, oh, really? Well, I was actually there. I've taken pictures of it. I've seen the entire property, and no, that's not true. So what I'm saying is it's a smart move for him to go to the property and check it out.
Is actually at stake.
Do you have a grand jury in these cases?
Let me say, when you get a criminal referral, one of the tools you have is a grand jury, and I'll leave it to you to infer what I mean. But these referrals are criminal referrals, significant enough that that they would warrant using all the tools, and the tools include.
These are criminal referrals with a grand jury set and ready to go for indictments on criminal charges that he said were, quote, serious enough. What did he say?
One of the tools you have is a grand jury, and I'll leave it to you to infer what I mean. But these referrals are criminal referrals, significant enough that that they would warrant using all the tools, and the tools include subpoenas and witnesses, and that is in our system. That is the system. I'm not like Jack Smith. Jack Smith liked to talk about how he did things and what he did and brag about it. Letitia James did, by the way, as a prosecutor. She liked to come out and hold press conferences. I'll just tell you, when you get a criminal referral, and her own lawyer made the comments publicly, you can infer what you need to.
Well, let's talk about January 6th, because you are also investigating.
Like I said, they're quiet, they're articulate, they're methodical, they're smart, they're seasoned, they're professional and they're really good at what they do. And there's a whole team of those types at the Department of Justice now. You know, the types that'll go out to the crime scene or whatever it might be and look at the property instead of just going by pictures, you know, taking that extra step to make sure that there's no holes left open in for the defense to pick at. So smart stuff.
January 6th, which was also part of this 10 years of scandals. What have
Now he also is going after the January 6th. Watch this.
you learned?
Well, again, Attorney General Pam Bondi let us loose on this, and there's a group of us working on January 6th. What we've learned is that the federal government, the Department of Justice, but other aspects, targeted these citizens.
A group of us are working on January 6th. So that means that there's a dedicated team of prosecutors that are working on that as we speak.
They basically turned government on to make the hoax work. So I'm not talking about somebody that pushes a cop. That's a charge you can look at in charge. I'm talking about that the FBI and others were putting American citizens on terrorism watch lists. They were auditing their IRS tax returns. They were targeting the American people. They were taking massive amounts of resources and moving them from fighting, child trafficking and fighting real corruption and saying we have to move everybody to look at the Capitol siege. It was a political hoax that was driven by Garland, Lisa Monaco, and others. And what, again, Attorney General Bondi has said is get to the bottom of it. Some of it may not be illegal, but it's some of the worst. You know, in federal prosecutor world, we think about the importance of that role. There's a guy named Robert Jackson who is the prosecutor guy. And what you see is Lisa Monaco's Justice Department acting in ways we've never seen before. This is going, and when we show all that, and we're writing reports regularly on it, it's not one aspect. The federal court system was used in a way. The jails were used in a way to punish people. It's foreign. They didn't do this to the terrorists after 9/11, and they were doing it to American citizens. So that's a fulsome investigation on January 6th, and it will make clear the hoax, which is really the 2020 election hoax. We were told we couldn't talk about it because of January 6th, and the whole thing is falling apart, Maria, and it's going to get to the bottom, and the players are always the same. It's always the same. The same people on December 9th, 2016, in the Situation Room in Obama's White House are playing the same game all these years.
That's unbelievable. Real quick, what about the January 6th committee? Did they destroy evidence? Is there criminality there?
Of course. Of course, we're all in that too, and trust me, a lot of people did not get a pardon that were involved in the select committee, and they ought to be keeping an eye on their mailbox because there's a lot to be asked about.
And the pardons that were given out were done by an auto pen. Are they legitimate?
Well, I'm the pardon attorney, so I'm in that too. I can tell you we're investigating how the pardons were granted. It was not like anything in the history of America what not Joe Biden, his staffers did, not just with the auto pen, but with faking him out on the memos. More to come, Maria. I'm telling you, Pam Bondi has let us loose, and when this comes out, it'll take the whole of these people's hoaxes down, and we're doing it bit by bit, and it's fantastic. It's a great privilege.
Unbelievable. Ed?
I'm telling you, it's coming. It's coming. And, I'm going by the things I'm reading, the things I'm hearing, the people I'm talking to, and then, just watching the news and keeping up on every little development. I guess the question, if it wasn't coming, my question would be, well, why would they put themselves and their lives and their families all at risk? For what? Just for headlines? Of course not. So they're being brave. We should pray for all of them, every single one, all of them. Ed Martin, Tulsi Gabbard, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, Dan Bunge, everybody, Leo Terrell, Hireme, everybody that is working on these things diligently and is putting their life on the line from the left, basically, at some point, possibly, if they're not put in jail, then I give them a lot of credit. They're patriots. They're patriots, and they're doing God's work. And I'm very cautiously optimistic that we are going to start seeing some major indictments, and some heads are finally, hopefully, going to roll. And man, I want to get rid of that the million-tier justice system as fast as we can. So keep praying for all these people's safety, of course, because of what they're taking on right now. And let's pray for justice. That's really the bottom line. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Put them down in the comments below. See you in the next one.